Hi everybody, welcome back to Arma Reforger, and yes, it's time for another helicopter tutorial. And if you're thinking, wait, Rob, you've done several helicopter tutorials in the last couple of weeks. Yes, I have, but before I didn't have access to what you can see in the bottom right hand corner of the screen, which is an overlay which shows you what I'm doing on my gamepad. Guess this video is going to be about basic flying instructions, how to get started flying the helicopters, but we're going to be concentrating on the Mi-8 Russian helicopter. Now, in the description below this video, you'll find links to my other videos. So there's ones like a basic flying guide that concentrates on the Huey, the UH-1, and then there's other ones that concentrate on, say, doing fast landings, the J-hook landings, or the J-turn landings in the UH-1. And there's also ones that talk about navigation as well. And I'll put them all in the description below this video. But in this one, it's going to be about this beast here. Because I think the Russian helicopter, in fact, if we go over here, and I'm playing this in the experimental version of the game. This is one of the new helicopter crew things. I just wanted to kind of show the difference between the sizes of these two helicopters. You've got the Russian Mi-8, it's the Mi-8, isn't it, here, and then you've got the UH-1 here, and you really get an idea of the difference in size. Now, I've done a bit of research, and the unladen weight, from what I can find, isn't that much between these two helicopters. However, when they are laden, this can carry quite a lot more, and in the game it can carry more supplies and more troops as well. But in my experience, what I've found is that the Russian helicopter is much less manoeuvrable than the Huey. It's slower, but it does have more firepower and has more carrying capacity. You also really have to be careful with the Russian helicopter because it seems to have much more momentum. I guess because of the added weight, it's much less forgiving of hard landings. It's more forgiving when you're flying around because it tends to fly itself a lot more than the Huey does. But when you're coming and touching down, if you come in too hard with this thing, then it will really smash into the ground and blow up and kill everybody on board. So you need to be careful about that. Right, okay, so let's just quickly go back into Game Master so we can fly around a bit. And all I've done here is I've just spawned a load of stuff in Game Master. A couple of housekeeping bits to start off with. When you're actually playing Conflict, and you want to refuel or repair your helicopter, you need to come back to a friendly helipad with supplies, and then you can repair or refuel. If you're out in the field and you want to repair a damaged helicopter, sometimes you can repair the things that's wrong with it with just a spanner that's normally in the cargo for the helicopter or in the cargo of a vehicle. But if it's badly damaged, you're going to need either a repair truck, or you're going to have to come back to a helipad. And if you want to refuel it, you're going to have to really bring a fuel truck to it because it's a bit hard landing a helicopter near a fuel point. So just remember those things. So let's go over here. Let's transport the player here and let's play as the character. Right, here we go. So we're up at the North Airfield in Everon in Game Master, and we're just going to practice things like getting in, starting up, taking off, moving to the end of the airfield, and kind of landing nice and slowly and safely. And although I'm going to try and talk you through what I'm doing as I'm doing it, in the bottom right hand corner, obviously you can see what I'm doing on the gamepad. And those funny bits, the horns that are sticking up, they're the triggers. Oop, I didn't mean to shoot my own helicopter there. They're the triggers, so you can see what I'm doing there. And if I click in, for example, the left stick for auto hover, you see it kind of looks like that. Okay, so here we go. So let's get in the let's get in. Now, because I'm in the experimental version of the game, the flight characteristics might be slightly different to if you're playing the normal version of the game, and also things like the button prompts might be different. Now, when we're just in the helicopter in third person view, if we press and hold the top right shoulder button and then move our left stick, we can kind of look around, which is nice, and this applies the same for the air. And then if we double tap our top right shoulder button, it will zoom in, and then we can look around as well. Look how amazing this looks. This is on PC, but obviously it looks brilliant on console. Look at those landing lights behind me. God, this game's so good looking. double tap again to come out of it. To go into first person view, we press and hold. It's the button with 3 lines on an Xbox controller. I'm not quite sure what it is on a PlayStation. And then we're in the cockpit, and in order to have free look, we're going to press and hold the top right shoulder button, and then we're going to use the right stick to have a look around. Now, what I would say, it's good to get familiar with what the different controls do and where they are. So I always like to start the engine when I'm inside, and then I press it's X on Xbox. It'll be the bottom, the left-hand face button on PlayStation. In fact, I have got a PlayStation controller. Let me just go and see where it is. Right, okay, so that would be square on PlayStation. And let's have a look around. So what else have we got? We look down there. We've got auto hover, anti-collision lights on. There's the machine gun. That's another reason why the Russian helicopter, it may be slower than the Huey, but it does pack a punch because you do have that machine gun on the front. And with the latest update, we will be getting, with 1.3 when that goes live, we're going to be getting rocket ships in Huey form and Russian form, although the Russian one does seem to have more rockets, so we'll be able to hit harder. Okay, so we've had a look round the engine bay. What we've got down there, what's that? Taxi lights, landing lights, there we go. So we could turn them on and off. So we're just going to start the engine now, so I'm just going to press and hold, look at that, and press and hold X. I guess it'd be square on PlayStation. And then we're going to press and hold that button with 3 lines on Xbox. It would be options on PlayStation. Now, for some reason, it does like to kind of spin a bit on startup. So you can try and control that with a bit of right stick. And we're getting up to speed now. So what we're going to do is we're just going to click in the left stick. And that's going to turn on auto hover. If you look in the bottom left hand corner, you can see there's a little line with 2 arrows at the top of the bottom. So that means the helicopter is going to try and stay level no matter what we do. And in fact, if you put input into it, it will kind of fight you a little bit. But what we can do when we're in auto hover, we can use the left stick, which would be the collective. Now I use reversed controls, inverted controls, so I'm not sure, yours might be the opposite, but all I'm going to do is push it up gently, and we're going to raise into the air, and then push it all the way, so we're going to gain a bit of height. And when you first start playing around with helicopters, it's best to do it at a little bit of height. Now because we're in auto hover mode, the helicopter will kind of look after itself. Remember, there is wind simulated in Reforger, so it may well be rocking and rolling and moving all over the place. But we can do another couple of things as well. Is if we push our left stick sort of to the left, we'll start to spin left. And if we push it to the right, we'll start to spin right. If we pull it down, we'll go down. If we push it up, we'll go up. One of the things that can be a little bit tricky when you're first starting off is being a little bit too rough with the controls, and also the fact that it's very easy to kind of have up pressed and sideways pressed, so often you'll find you're going up or down and turning at the same time, but you kind of, as you fly it more, the helicopter more, you're kind of used to it. Now if we use the right stick, if we push it to the right, the helicopter will tip right and sort of start to strafe right, but auto hover is fighting us, so it's not going to let us go very far. And then if we push it left, it'll push it left. But again, auto hover's saying, no, I want to be straight. And if we push it forward, we're going to dip forward, and then we can release. But again, the helicopter's really fighting us to stop us moving, and we can go back. Auto hover, so clicking in and out of with your left stick, so off and on. Auto hover is your get out of jail free card if you get into trouble. So you're flying along and you're trying to do a turn or trying to do a landing, and it all starts going wrong and you lose your orientation, you're not sure what you do. Click in your left stick, the helicopter will go into auto hover. Now sometimes it won't be able to help and you will still crash, but a lot of the time it'll sort yourself out. And then if you're in a hostile environment, so there's enemies shooting at you, pretty quick you want to be on your way, so you want to be clicking out of it. But there's nothing wrong when you're first learning to fly helicopters to simply get near to your destination and then click on auto hover and then gently drop it down. In fact, what we'll do that for the first couple of landings we do. So in fact, let me just put it back on again. So I'm just going to press and hold the right shoulder button. We're just going to have a look around. So the beauty of the Northern Airfield at Everon is we can practice just taking off from one end and landing at the other, and then when we want to get more advanced, we can head on over to the lighthouse over there. You can just about see it. Head on over to that lighthouse over there and then practice landing on the bit of land that joins the lighthouse to the main island, and then fly back again. So it's a great place to practice. It's very flat, so you don't need to worry about crashing into buildings and things like that. So let's just click off auto hover, and all we're going to do now is we're just going to push forward gently on the right stick and then release. The helicopter will dip down, and now we're going to press up on the left stick to maintain our height. Now we're going to pull back on the left stick just to straighten the helicopter out, and then we're just going to go to the end. Now what we're going to do now is we're getting to the end of the airfield, so I'm just going to release both of my sticks, so they're both in neutral, and I'm just going to click in left stick. So the helicopter's going to go into auto hover like that, and then we're just going to pull down on our left stick and gently, about halfway, and the helicopter's going to start to descend. We can sort of move it left and right as well, just to have a look round, make sure we're not going to land on top of a wall or a vehicle or something like that. Gently going to come down. Okay, so we might decide that we want to be more in the left hand side of the field, so I'm going to use the right stick, just push it to the left a little bit, and we're just going to move very, very slowly. And once I release that, auto hover is going to sort us out and get us level again. And we're going to slowly run. Let's have a quick look behind us, make sure there's nothing behind us. No. And then we're going to gently. Now when you get down to this height, you can see the angle that's on the field. You go, okay, so there's a bit of an angle on the field, so we wouldn't want, for example, to have our tail rotor round to the left, so we wouldn't want the tail rotor round that way. We would probably, if we were worried about it, we would want the tail rotor around that way, so the angle of the field is making the tail rotor be off the ground. So gently come down, just a little bit of down on the left stick, gently drop down. Right, everybody out. Right, so all the troops jump out, and we're just going to go up on the left stick, and we're going to put a bit of left into it to start spinning around, get a bit of height. Now we're going to click in auto hover, so auto hover's off. We're going to push forward with the right stick, push up on the left stick. Now we're going to push back on the right stick, and then we're flying along. So we're just going to try and land at the other end of the airfield now. So we're almost there, so we're going to kind of go into neutral position, so we've let go of both sticks. We're rising a bit, so we're going to get the nose down with right stick a bit. We're just going to click in the left stick. We've gone into auto hover. And we're going to gently just pull down on the left stick, put a bit of rotation on just so we can look around, just to check we're not landing on anybody or anything, or our rotor blades aren't going to touch a tree or anything like that. And we're almost at the ground, so we're just going to slow down a bit, bring it down really nice and gently, lovely and gently. Everybody out, I'm ready to go. So that's your basic takeoff, move slowly somewhere and land, and just practice doing that. Just go from one end of the runway to the other, taking off and landing using auto hover to start off with. Now what you've probably noticed already is that there's kind of two flying modes for the helicopters. They have their slow flying mode when you're just manoeuvring kind of at auto hover speed, and then they have their faster flying mode when you're going like above sort of 25 30 kilometers an hour or miles an hour, and then the helicopter starts to behave like an aeroplane. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take off, and we're just going to fly around just to kind of show you that without using auto hover. So I'm going to click off auto hover, so I'm going to gain some height with the left stick, so I'm just going to put the left stick up. We're going to start to go up nice and gently. Remember, if you start to get stuck and start spinning around, it doesn't really matter, but you can always click on auto hover to sort yourself out. So this is when we're in kind of slow mode. So when we're like this, and I use the right stick now, I can kind of tip the helicopter forward, and it will get rid of its backwards momentum very, very slowly. Big heavy helicopter this, so it takes a while for it to do it. And then if I slowly move the right stick to the right, it's going to tip over a little bit and then start strafing. Pull back to straighten up the helicopter. And if I push left on the right stick, it's going to strafe left a little bit. I'm just going to straighten out with a bit of right stick. And then if I push the left stick to the right, I'll spin to the right. And if I push the left stick to the left, I'll spin to the left. So that's kind of the slow speed stuff, and then we can go down with the left stick, nice and gently, and go up. So that's slow. So if you're trying to land somewhere complicated, you'd be using that, and then if you get stuck, you'd be sticking into auto hover. So let's come out of that now. In fact, I just want it to be flat. So if we want to go from sort of slow speed manoeuvring to fast, what we've got to do is we have to change the angle of attack of the helicopter. So we have to get the nose down, and that will then give us forward momentum, but it will also make us lose height. So we need to push the collective speed up. So push the collective up so we're getting more lift off the rotor blades. So we get more lift off the rotor blades with the left stick by pushing it up, and we get less lift by pushing it down, and we move the nose down by pushing the right stick forward. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push the right stick forward, and you'll see the nose will drop, and then I'm going to let go of the right stick, and the helicopter starts to drop, so I need to go up on my left stick, and then I'm going to pull back on my right stick, and we're kind of in this kind of slightly nose down position, and then it will gradually start to sort itself out. Now what I would recommend you do, get used to flying around, just have your left stick all the way up, so we're kind of at maximum collective, and then you're using your right stick to make adjustments, so to go nose down, to go down, and then we're going to pull back on the right stick to go up, very much like you're flying an aeroplane if you're used to flying planes in Flight Simulator or Battlefield or something like that. And now what happens when we want to turn, we're just going to use the right stick to go into a bank. So we're going to pull left, and the helicopter will do a nice slow bank. And if you look at the right stick now, it's kind of neutral. I've just tipped her over, and it's going to slowly bank around nicely. Now we'll probably lose a bit of speed, so we could always nose down a little bit, and we're losing height, so we pull back, and we go left stick again. And the more left stick we use, the tighter the turn, but we also might lose height, so you've got to be careful. And if you want to stop losing height, we need to pull back to get the helicopter's nose up, and we might well start to lose speed that way. But you can do these nice, slow, comfortable turns. And again, if you look at my left stick's all the way up. And I find having the left stick in this sort of position stops you accidentally putting a little bit of rotation in. Generally, as the helicopter starts moving forward, sort of little bits of rotation don't tend to matter. Just practice kind of doing these nice, slow banking turns. We're at a nice altitude. If you look in the bottom left corner, you can see we've got our speeders on the far left. We've got our climb rate next one in. Then we've got our radar altitude next. So we're about 100 metres up in the air. And then you've got your barometer altitude, which obviously is just the sea level. And then we've got our fuel. So now we just practice flying around. So we're just going to collective all the way up on the left stick, and then I'm just knocking the nose down. Just have a look. Press and hold the button with 3 lines on Xbox, or the options button on PlayStation, just to go into the cabinet, go into the cockpit and have a look around. It's very good. We can just practice do it in here as well. We're just slowly flying around, getting used to it. Back to third person. Nice slow movements, and this is where the Russian helicopter is very good for this. It's not as sensitive as the Huey for movements. There's a lot of momentum, so I think it's very user friendly for just flying around. It's not particularly user friendly when you come into land. Okay, so you can see there's the airfield up ahead of us. So let's say our aim is just to land on the runway somewhere when you're learning off. So one of the things we will probably want to do at this point is, as we're approaching the runway, just release the left stick so that the helicopter's kind of not going up, not going down. And then in order to slow down, if we pull back on the right stick, we'll start to slow down, but we'll start to gain height. But if we pull down on the left stick, we'll lose height and slow down at the same time. Our aim here really is to bleed off our forward momentum. Okay, so that we kind of stop our forward momentum by angling the helicopter back like that, slowly, and then not gaining too much height. Now if we start to lose height, we're going to go up on the left stick. As you can see, we're over the top of these helicopters, which isn't good. So we can use the right stick just to move over a little bit. And we're just playing around with the attitude of the helicopter. At this point you could well click in auto hover. So our forward momentum is almost completely gone. So now we can go left stick down. Let's get a bit of rotation in just to get away from those helicopters. Move. Nice and gently. Funny enough, when you're trying to do it at slow speeds like this without autofocus, it's actually quite difficult. And we're gently going to bring her down. Gently, gently, gently. Gently, gently, gently. I think the game automatically puts your brakes on when you land. There we go, we're down. So everybody out, and you kind of do that. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do things a little bit faster. So let's take off. And let's use a bit of left stick to the left just to spin round. So again, so what we're going to do is we've got full left stick. We're going to push forward. We're going to release. And then we're going to pull back on the right stick. So we've got our speed. Now, when you're in the helicopter, and this goes for both of them, when it comes to landing somewhere specific, you really need to know where you're going to land. So one of the videos you'll see in the description below the video, or two of them actually, is about navigation. Because it doesn't matter how good you are at flying the helicopter if you're not going to be if you're not sure where you should be landing around capture points or in general. And the other thing you need to be able to do is to be able to kind of pick out your landings. So what we're going to do, so you see that yellow field that's on the horizon, we're going to try and land there. So before I get there a long way, I'm just going to reduce the left stick just so we're in a neutral position. I'm going to bring up the nose and then bring down on the left stick. So we're reducing our forward momentum as we're approaching the landing zone. So there we go. So now we're going a bit fast, so we're going to go up with the left stick. Coming down a bit fast. We're slowing down nicely, but we should probably slow down a little bit much. So I'm just going to tip the nose forward a little bit as we go into the field. And then we're almost there. Our tail is probably over that bush, so we just want to swing around a little bit. And then we're going to gently bring her down. Nice and gently. Now, there's a classic thing that happens with the Russian helicopter there. You see how it bounced and then the rotor went into the ground, and I've damaged the rotor a little bit. That happens an awful lot with the Russian helicopter. It's not very forgiving at all when it comes to landing. If you're in Game Master, you can just go back into Game Master. And we can click on that and we can click on Heal. And it should sort it out. Yeah, so we're good again. So up on the left stick. Get a bit of height. Forward on the right stick. Till we start getting forward momentum. And back on the right stick. And then we're off again. And this is just all about practice. In fact, tell you what, let's land in a field over here, near the sea. Got to be careful when you're landing near the sea, because often the fields can be very steep. So we're coming in. So I've picked out the field. In fact, tell you what, let's see if we can land on the beach. So we're going to land on the beach right in front of us. So nose up to lose speed, down on the left stick to drop us down without gaining too much height. Still going. So up again on the get the nose up. Down on the collective to bring us down. Still moving forward a little bit too fast, so nose up a bit more. Down, down, down. Coming down a bit fast. And then down we go. And we're down. Now, in the Huey, you can really ram it into the ground, and often it doesn't get damaged at all. But again, with this Russian helicopter, you've just got to be a little bit more sensitive to the way that we do things. And hopefully you can see there the way that we bring the nose up to slow our forward momentum, but that will make us climb. And so that's why we pull down on the left stick to bring us down, but you don't want to be coming down too fast because your tail rotor will hit the ground, and also have a situation where you lose too much forward momentum. And there's nothing wrong with going around and doing it again. So let's take off again, so all the way up. A little bit of left stick to the left just to spin us around a little bit. Again, we've got to be careful here because the ground is rising in front of us, so when we push the right stick forward, we're going to lose a lot of height. So right stick back, we've got our forward momentum. Let's fly over the top of this tree, this ridge line. Pick somewhere to land on the other side. Now, I know I haven't been using auto hover for these last couple of landings we've been doing, but there is nothing wrong with that. If you're coming into land, you're like, ooh, you know, you start wandering around, and you're flying backwards and forwards, and you can't seem to get right. Just click auto hover on, and then just adjust it from there. So over here, there's a headland over there, isn't there? So let's go back this way. Can really feel the weight of the Russian helicopter compared to the Huey. And if you're playing on modded servers, you have a go with the little bird. That thing really shifts. Okay, so let's land at the second brown field in the middle of the screen now. So let's line ourselves up. We're quite high, so we're going to have to lose a lot of height. So I'm just bringing down on the left stick. And I've nosed up as well to lose some of our speed. So down on the left stick. I'm just very well, you don't want to come crashing down, you see. So really nose up to stop the speed. Okay, so we've got to be careful, there's some power lines. Nose forward now, up on the left, just to stop us coming down quite so fast. Okay, so we've got power lines. So let's go over the power lines. Gently, gently, gently bring it down. And this is a situation where right at this point I would click on auto hover if I was in trouble. And just let auto hover take over. And then take her down. There we go. Everybody out, everybody out. And then you've completed another successful landing. Our rotor blades are very close to that pylon though. So we could well chop them off. So maybe this wasn't the best place to land. So there we go. There we are. Basic helicopter. Ooh, we're off again. Ooh, yeah, we just missed those, didn't we? Basic helicopter flying in the Russian helicopter. Now, if you're wondering, well, how do I do J turn landing and things like that? Ooh, auto hover off. What I found so far is that the MI8 doesn't particularly like to do J turn handlings. Undoubtedly, you can do them, but I haven't figured out how to do it. And the reason that it doesn't like doing them, I think, is because of the momentum. So a J-turn landing is where we're going to fly along, and then we're going to spin around and do like a handbrake turn in the air, and then come down and land very quickly. In fact, let's finish off the video with me trying to do that. Now, I'm a little bit too high at the moment. We probably want to be about 80 metres. So let's find somewhere suitable. And we're going to do it round to the right as well. Alright, here we go. There's a nice big field up here. Okay, so let's get over on the left hand side of the field. Okay, so you're going to hard right, and then you pull back to do the J turn. And what I tend to find is the MI8 just keeps going. It doesn't do a skid in the air like the Huey does. So you end up just doing this really nice turn and going round that way. Now, I have been able to do them occasionally by whipping the tail round, but so far it's been pretty random for it to work. So kind of be doing this and then bring down on the collective and then going up. But often see, so that's kind of almost a J-turn. You know, we've come down pretty... Ooh, might be coming down a little bit hard. So that's almost a J-turn. So you've got to kind of come in tight, do that tight turn and really get down on the collective to start slowing it down, but it doesn't kind of skid the way the UH-1 does. But there we go. You can practice that yourself. But practice normal landings first, honestly, before you try and attempt stuff like that, especially in a live game where you've got real players in the back who'll get a bit peeved if you crash and kill them. Anyway, that's enough from me. Hopefully you found this video useful. If you have, hit like. If you want to see more, subscribe. And of course, I'll see you again soon.